Hi, Star, I'm Tony Krummersk. I like a nice cup of tea in the morning, I know. Do you? Some folks put much reliance on politics and science. There's only one hero for me. Our praise we should be roaring for the one who thought of pouring the first boiling water onto tea. I like a nice cup of tea in the morning, for to start the day, you see. And at 11:30, well, my idea of heaven is a nice cup of tea. I like a nice cup of tea with my dinner, and a nice cup of tea with my tea. And when it's time for bed, well, there's a lot to be said for a nice cup of tea. I like a nice cup of tea in the morning, for to start the day, you see. And at 11:30, well, my idea of heaven is a nice cup of tea. I like a nice cup of tea with my dinner, and a nice cup of tea with my tea. And when it's time for bed, well, there's a lot to be said for a nice cup of tea. It's funny how songs never seem to lose their relevance, no matter how old they are. Like this one, I like a nice cup of tea in the morning. As I said, I do. I don't know about you. But the words in the verses do show signs of its age. One says, you can talk about your science and your airships in the sky. Another reflects that you can talk about your liberties. They talk of women's rights. I don't want to make no speeches, because the one that does is trite. And anyone can have my vote and chuck it in the sea. But by golly, there'll be trouble if you touch my cup of tea. Another one goes, I can do without the wireless and you'll never see me fly. There's a good reason for that. Interesting, 1937 was the year of coronation of King George VI and Queen Elizabeth. But it was also the year of the Hindenburg airship disaster, which killed 36 people, and the mysterious disappearance of the aviator Amelia Earhart. So perhaps those sentiments are a bit understandable. The song first appeared in the Coronation Revue Home and Beauty, which premiered in January of 1937 and was performed by Binny Hale, one of the most successful musical theatre stars in London in the 1920s. She sang the song in what was described as a common or a working class voice. Working class people, like my family, started work very early, had a break for a cup of tea and sit down called elevenses, and then their dinner around 12 noon, and tea would be about 5:30 with possibly a supper later on. Posh folk, in contrast, had their dinner in the evenings at 8 o'clock, and the midday meal was called lunch. Binny recorded it in 1937, as did Lou Stone and his band, with vocals by Hugh Diamond, and it was also recorded by Gracie Fields, Billy Cobden and his band, and again in 1985 by the cast of the TV show EastEnders. That song starts with an introduction, but I've chosen to speak it rather than sing it. If you prefer to sing it, I'll put the score of the whole song on a little later in the video. Just strum a few chords and speak it at things to make it more personal. The chords, once you start, is I like a nice cup of tea with a C chord, I like a nice cup of tea, then a G7, falling, and back again to C. Now an augmented chord, if you change your finger there from the third finger to the little finger and stretch it there. That's the C augmented. So there you C, an F chord, then a D minor, hop past a G7, C, heaven is a D7, cup of, I'm using the shortened version of the D7, the Hawaiian D7, cup of G7, I like a nice cup of tea with my G7 dinner, a nice cup of tea, augmented C again. Now, I want now a C diminished seventh. Two ways you can play that. The easiest way I think is with a bar, but if you wish you can play it with sacred fingers like that. To be said, for a D minor, nice, G7, and then C to finish with. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and you'll have a go at it, and I hope you, if you do like drinking tea in the morning, have a nice cup of tea and me. Anyway, for whatever you do, however you do it, have fun when you're playing the ukulele.